par for the course of what this day has been. No anthem today. So we will just set the scene. MVU coming into this one off of a very, very hard result. Their last game against an undefeated North Country team with a lot of hope and expectation came up with a lot of disappointment. A bitter loss to the Falcons, and they're hoping to have a bounce-back performance today. Likewise, BFA, a 13-point loss against Colchester, their last time out a couple of days ago, as they hope to get back in the win column. BFA comes into this one with a record of 2-3, MVU with a record of 3-2. And as you can see, we are underway from the Thunderdome. Patrick Walker, tough on-ball defense from BFA. On him right there was Charlie Yates. As Walker tries to back down to the corner, Unwin, good shot fake as he goes in, and no whistle as there was some contact driving in, and a floater is going to fall, and one for Caleb Johnston. And with Johnston at the line looking to complete a three-point play, our first substitution of the day, it being a recognition of the time and energy for the seniors. Matthew Curtis getting the start. He has been battling injuries all season, and good that he was able to get out on the court, but you wondered what sort of length he was going to be able to stay on the court.
Yeah, I don't expect we're going to see him the rest of the day. He's been battling that injury pretty much all season long. Seen him only in limited spurts.
And as soon as he went to the bench, he did take off that his headband. You can see he's got a lot of energy and desire, but if it's in his best interest to sit, then I'm sure that's what Coach Walker will do. Ball handling for MVU is Sean Power. The other starters for the Thunderbirds, Unwin, who we mentioned, Caleb Johnston, who has the first basket, Cole Buta, who is another senior recognized at the start, and of course, Patrick Walker. All five starters today were seniors. And indeed, all five on the court now still are. As here's a look for Johnston. Tough defense right on him as he drives in, tries a floater again, and almost got it, and almost an offensive rebound too for Cole Buta, but it was wrestled over and grabbed by Thomas DeMar for the Bobwhites. Working their way around. BFA seems a good cutting Earl, and hanging in the air, he can't get it to go. Offensive rebound, left-hand finish, no good. The putback is there for Case Ballard. It was a great cut and drive from Noah Earl, who could not get the shot, but the stick-to-itiveness of Case Ballard puts BFA on the board for the first time.
Ballard and Yates are the two guys for BFA that MVU is probably going to have to concentrate their defense on quite a bit. Case Ballard especially, MVU is really going to have to get a body on him, boxing out on those offensive rebounds.
And again, a miss up close for Noah Earl as a loose ball foul is going to be called on Gabe Unwin. That's going to be his first and the first for the Thunderbirds. I guess one of the positives of being in this vantage point is that we're able to set up that little webcam to show you at home the bigger scoreboard, so you will be able to keep track of the team fouls and the personal fouls as well throughout this afternoon.
And that means less work we have to do, Wesley. And I always advocate for less work.
Here's a good look, and the three-point ball a little long for Peter Jolly. Back and forth, going for the rebound. It goes off of MVU's Cole Buta, and it's going to be another inbounds play from Noah Earl.
That was Thomas DeMar for BFA battling for that rebound down there. Just jumped higher than all of MVU's guys, and he's really been sort of that energy guy for BFA. Doesn't always score a ton, but does the dirty work.
Charlie Yates, a good quick pass from Earl. Earl's first assist as that ball is tipped and out off of Jolly. Well, there's that energy. Right in front of us, Caleb Johnston, the inbound. Goes to Power. Power right by the sideline, guarded by Earl. Works his way in and double dribble there as he lost control of the ball.
Double dribble, but still good recognition by Sean Power. I mean, the whole the rest of the MVU team really set up on the other side of the court, and Power was just one-on-one with that whole side to himself and took it. And good recognition, even with the double dribble.
Here's another three-point effort, and no, good rebound from Caleb Johnson. The look again from Peter Jolly. BFA likes that long ball. We've talked about this in the past, Bryce, that when they can get hot, they are a dangerous team. And speaking of getting hot from outside, Gabe Unwin, if he's hitting from out there, watch out.
Well, that's what happened with the MVU against the North Country team. Patrick Walker hit a quick three, and so they sort of kept taking it. But eventually MVU went cold, and that's when North Country was able to make their run, hitting a few threes. So, MVU, they can be good at the three when they get hot, but they can also sometimes rely on it a little bit too much.
Unwin picking up the dribble, guarded way outside by Ballard as Power pivots around to try to get some space. Over to Walker. He's got some space as he beat his man. A mid-range jumper, no good. Offensive rebound and a putback, also no good. And in the scrum, it's pulled down by Ballard. Unwin skying for a defensive board on the other end, and good sportsmanship from the two teams as a couple of Thunderbirds help up Charlie Yates, who went to the ground and was called for the foul. You could see him walking back towards his bench with his hands up. Yes, he was straight up. However, it was just bad timing for Yates, who didn't get to the rebound as soon as Unwin did. And as a result, 3 team fouls in the first 3 minutes, 45 seconds for the Bobwhites.
And MVU's a good rebounding team. So, I mean, that's something that BFA is going to have to concentrate on boxing out as Patrick Walker gets called for the offensive foul. And that has also sort of been the embodiment of MVU's rebounding, what we saw against North Country earlier this week. MVU out-rebounded the North Country team by quite a lot, but then they never really converted on the other side, even when they got those defensive rebounds. So, this is sort of the question of can they actually take advantage of those rebound opportunities to go and score on the other end.
And Noah Earl had his pass tipped away and then somehow going back to him as BFA's possession continues, and they reset up top wisely. Charlie Yates slowing things down a little bit, going back to the left side to Earl. Earl looking around. Not a lot of movement from BFA as MVU's in a man defense. Good crossover to cut back to the left side. And driving in a floater, too strong. Offensive rebound, and Ballard puts it back. A fast start for him.
Yeah, Ballard already with 4 points and 3 rebounds. Like I said at the start of the game, whoever's guarding Case Ballard, they have to concentrate on boxing him out. They're probably going to have to play less help defense just to be able to take him off the offensive board.
Another turnover on Patrick Walker, called for the travel on his pivot foot from the MVU bench. You could see Patrick Walker's father, Matthew Walker, saying that his pivot foot slid because he was jostled a little bit from his defender. I'd say you're really not going to get a touch foul call there, and the official's not going to let that travel slide, if you can forgive the term. So
nice.
Unfortunately, you got to stick your ground there a little more, or else you're going to get called for turnovers. Yates, his first 3 ball is good, and BFA has a 4-point lead.
And Charlie Yates with 5 of BFA's 9 points in the early going. Case Ballard with the other 4.
Yeah, Yates and Ballard the only scorers. As another floater will fall, and Caleb Johnson has that shot going for him.
In the meantime, Caleb Johnson with 4 of MVU's 7 points on 2 floaters.
A travel on Case Ballard. Both teams have kept their benches active, and for BFA, Justin Brown, an exceptionally versatile player, has checked in. Brown is officially a forward, but at times you will see him bring the ball up the court and drive and do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and Brown is great for running their offense, especially when their offense starts to get a little bit stagnant. Brown really attacks the basket and opens up opportunities for the rest of the team.
Walker getting a high screen from Unwin, goes to his left and met by several defenders in the lane. One of them officially fouled him. We wait to see from the official which Bobwhite defender is whistled for the hold. Looks like it is going to be
Dakota Rye.
number 42. Okay. As Sean Power gets a breather. Also on the court now, we haven't mentioned his name, but number 10 for the Thunderbirds is Luke Fuenier. Unwin driving in, kicks out to Fuenier. He's got some space, he's got some time, but he can't get it to go. Hazen Luno with the rebound, knocked down, and no whistle as BFA has it the other way. In transition, here's Yates, met by Luno, spins around, and contact from Unwin, but no whistle. It's starting to get a little bit scrummy as Ballard tries a long ball. No good, and Unwin able to get the rebound despite contact, which also goes unwhistled.
I think in an MVU BFA game, the refs are going to let him play a bit. Not going to be a lot of touch fouls called unless things get really out of hand.
Fuenier with good defense on him from Connor Leach. Unwin still battling with Ballard. He drives in, and on the drive, he is going to be fouled, and he'll go to the line. A good play from a senior. Heads up to know that there wasn't much movement from his team, and he had to make something happen.
Really patient play by Gabe Unwin, too. That he was kind of running through his fakes and various moves, reading his defender to see what he could get. Eventually able to just drive by him and draw the foul.
Leach being whistled for the foul, 5th for the Bobwhites. As Unwin's first free throw in and out, and officially out. As Case Ballard gets a well-deserved breather, his substitute Jake Reynolds. As you can see, there's not a significant height drop-off. The Bobwhites are certainly stacked in the bigs department. At the high school level, it's a lofty team.
A big advantage, one might say.
Can we get any other puns about it? Certainly we can, but we're going to move on. As Unwin gets 1 of 2 free throws.
Really heightening the tension.
Again, we're moving on here. BFA facing up against the zone defense here as Curtis did check back in, and an impact player, he gets a steal. Well, MVU is going to be grateful for every minute that they are able to have Curtis on the court, as Yates is called for a body foul on Walker, and that's Yates' second foul. We're still here in the first quarter. 6 team fouls already for the Bobwhites against just 2 for the Thunderbirds.
Well, going back to Matthew Curtis, this is sort of going to be one of those what-if years here for the Thunderbirds. That if they had had a totally healthy Curtis, Unwin, and Walker, sort of what this team would be able to do, especially down low, kind of with the twin towers of Unwin and Curtis.
A 1-point game as Walker's that 5-second clock going on him. He has to start moving. Gets past Earl and can't get the floater to fall, but a good move to get past the defender. And here come the Bobwhites the other way. Brown looking for something, had a gap for a moment, but instead decided to just keep working through the offense. BFA's again up against the zone. Yates on the bench, so we'll see who else is going to try the outside shot if they get that look. Inside, however, they go. No good as Unwin's effort for the rebound poked away by Brown, and Unwin did get a finger on it before it touched down. So BFA under 20 seconds to go in this quarter will be underneath their own hoop. Rye battling inside. They go outside to Brown, and he started moving before he started dribbling. Another turnover for the Bobwhites. Bryce, you talked about the storyline that has been familiar in the MVU games that you and I have seen, that they've been competitive despite having a lot of turnovers. And for BFA, they're playing the less clean game in the early going, and yet they have the 1-point lead.
Well, I
Power
mean,
had a second. His floater is good.
Oh, really nice floater from Sean Power. He can sort of be a little streaky at times, but when Power's able to kind of find those lanes that he can take there, he usually gets a decent look.
Well, it's interesting. It's I don't think it's anything that was intentional, but we've seen so many floaters from MVU players who drived in and just sort of flicked it up on the run. You wonder if that was something that was part of the game plan already. Caleb Johnson has a couple and one near miss. Sean Power with one there, and Patrick Walker tried at one point in that first quarter as well. But all in all, in that first quarter, a very exciting 8 minutes of basketball, what you would exactly expect between MVU and BFA, despite some turnovers and some miscues. These teams are ready to compete here today.
Well, absolutely, and to sort of talk about kind of the amount of floaters that we've seen so far from MVU, that might be the cleanest shot that they get. Like you mentioned, that BFA has height on their team. They're not short for height. So instead of trying to go right at them and either having the chance to just not get a good look or have it blocked, you kind of float the ball over their hands. Might be the cleanest look, but, Wes, the whole story for this year, I think even last year, MVU really has had the stronger team between the two, MVU and BFA, the last couple of years. But BFA has just been in MVU's head, and so MVU hasn't quite been able to get over that BFA hump. And so this is sort of the question today. Can MVU finally get over the hump to beat BFA here? Or will BFA just sort of, play a great game as they have against MVU the last couple of years and come out with the win?
BFA with the possession at the start of this quarter. Good shot fake, and for a moment it looked like Colin Jolly was going to pull up at the elbow, but instead they pull it back out. Almost a turnover, but chased down by Thomas DeMar. Outside to Seth Richards. Richards, as you see, wearing number 50, is a player who's normally the leaders of the JV team and getting some good varsity minutes in one of the biggest varsity games of the year. This possession for BFA going over 50 seconds now without a shot.
Or shot clock.
Richards moved before dribbling. Familiar story here, and that was a 59-second possession. They did not get a shot. The moral victory for the Bobwhites would have to be the fact that they forced MVU to play defense for 50 seconds. You start to have a test of attrition at that point. Unwin going outside as Johnson looks around, finds Power. Power pulls up the dribble and tried to go over towards Walker. Walker just got a hand on it to try to keep it from being stolen away, but a turnover is the end result either way. DeMar for the Bobwhites. Number 14 here, Peter Jolly, being guarded by Power. Jolly goes down low. And a foul from Mason Noble. Got a little bit too grabby.
Just when I said that I don't think they're going to call a lot of touch fouls this game, we see a touch foul. And always great to be proven wrong as an announcer live on the air.
This again, Thomas DeMar as he goes over to Richards. Inside, DeMar is going to get a short jumper to fall. Coming the other way. Power, Walker, Mason Noble up top, number 13. Walker calling for the offense to move around a little bit.
Unwin
Not a lot of options as he goes inside to Unwin. Unwin kicks outside, and a good shot fake as they go back to Power. Power driving in, got locked up a little bit as he tried to put that jump step on the floor, and Richards going to be called for the foul.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to draw a foul, but, I'm not sure why Unwin didn't move over to the opposite block a lot faster. Instead, they had, might have been Johnston end up kind of coming over to the strong block, but they needed to make that switch a lot faster so that by the time Unwin got there, they had 3 BFA defenders around him. They couldn't cleanly get him the ball. They still got it to him anyway, but if he gets over there a couple seconds faster as the primary option, I think a lot of things could open up for MVU.
What's surprising is that was called a shooting foul. MVU has a limit. It's 1-1 from here on out, but they said that Power was in the act of shooting when he got fouled. He misses the first. And sinks the second. In for the shooter Ian Digby.
It's worth noting that 2 BFA players have 2 personal fouls, Peter Jolly and Charlie Yates.
A good pass all the way out of the backcourt for the Bobwhites, and a three-pointer launched and a little bit long as the rebound grabbed by Noble. Walker on the far side being guarded by DeMar. Inside to Unwin. Unwin triple teamed as he kicks out to Walker. Walker now to the right side. Johnston, great defense on him from Tyson Pigeon. Pigeon just a junior as Johnston's pass almost intercepted. Walker's going to fire a three off the back iron, and the rebound for Noah Earl. Earl coming the other way. Almost lost the dribble.
I think that was one of those situations that if Matthew Curtis had been healthy, the whole BFA team wouldn't have just been able to concentrate on Gabe Unwin down in the post.
MVU still in that 2-3 zone, almost forcing a turnover.
Right at the half-court line, did not go over.
Earl, such a composed young player. He is just a sophomore as he wisely attracted 3 defenders, forced them to back off, and then got some space. Unwin, though, not backing down in a block as Earl gets his own rebound. The foul, as they stuck with it, I believe it is going to be called on Mason Noble. Indeed it is. That was a great duel between Noah Earl and Gabe Unwin. And, you know, I said a moment ago, the composure of Earl, just a sophomore and plays well beyond his years, just challenging a 6'5" senior like that.
And that was a great read by Earl on that sort of give and go, right? He had it up top or over on the left side. He passed it and immediately cut down, and he was the pass was right there. Unwin with just some really stellar defense on him.
As we see the sophomore Noah Earl miss, the sophomore Seth Richards gets the offensive rebound and the putback. Unwin being guarded by Richards. Buta was looking for Johnston. I don't think Johnston thought that he would try to thread a needle there. Neither did the official, who got blindsided by the ball, but seems to be in good spirits, in good shape.
I mean, that was, you don't often try to see those across the key entry passes. I mean, if
weaving past 3 defenders.
Yeah.
But it made it through.
It did.
Johnston just wasn't expecting it to be sent.
And in his defense, I don't think any of us were expecting it to be sent, but still a nice pass.
A great drive for Tyson Pigeon to beat his man and get it to fall. BFA now a 4-point lead.
But, you know, those entry passes, that's sort of been MVU's kryptonite this year. Getting entry passes from the top into the high post and also from the side trying to get it down to the block. I mean, how many turnovers have we seen in our couple games that we've covered for MVU?
Unwin tried another 3-pointer, and in the fight for the rebound, Cole Buta was whistled for a foul. It's 5 team fouls for the Thunderbirds as Charlie Yates has checked back into the game. 3.5 minutes remaining before halftime, and again, Yates does have 2 fouls. He is also the only Bobwhite player to have hit a field goal from behind the 3-point line.
It's just really good defensive positioning there for Sean Power. I mean, he read where I think it was Detilio or was cutting down, and he just read that, was able to beat him to the spot and stay in the perfect position with his hands out, knowing that pass was coming.
Twice now in successive possessions, we've seen Ballard up top for BFA, facilitating some offense. And they go outside to Yates. 3 effort, no good, and the rebound is grabbed by Walker.
Well, you know, Yates missed that one, but one of the other adjustments MVU, I think, will have to make, we've seen them really overcommit at times on their defense, leaving the weak side just totally wide open. And that time they got lucky that Yates missed. But, you know, that opportunity is going to be there for BFA because MVU tends to overcommit on the help defense.
Unwin with the entire team on the other side goes inside to Luno. Luno almost losing the dribble, being guarded by Earl. And as he turns around and gets a good look, Earl is called for the foul. He is in utter disbelief. I think I'm siding with Earl here. That looked like great straight-up defense.
Yeah, Matt Toof, the coach for BFA, not happy at all about that call. And that is actually Noah Earl's second personal foul, which is the third BFA player with 2 fouls. So, could be big here for the Bobwhites.
Luno's first free throw, no good. MVU has missed 3 free throws now out of 5. And the second one will fall. That's now 4 scores for the Thunderbirds. They have a dozen. 2.5 to play in the second quarter. Inside to Earl, being guarded by Johnston. Good help from Walker as Walker's going to get a little bit too. No, excuse me. It was on the defensive double team. They force Earl to get a little jumpy, and he's called for the travel.
Much cleaner double team there for MVU. We see them do some double teams and actually get Earl in trouble before, but then sort of bail him out with a reach-in foul. Much cleaner job for the Thunderbirds that time. Made Earl commit the error himself.
Good defense as Damon DiTilio following some of Sean Power's game and jumping the passing lane as Unwin drives in, can't get it to fall, can't get the rebound, and almost losing it, but flicking up ahead. Here's a drive for DeMar. He can't get it on the follow effort, nothing either for Earl, and a foul on the floor. An exciting series of events. It seemed like MVU was well situated for an offensive rebound. Instead, BFA got a fast break.
What a flick by Titilio. I don't know if that was, where exactly he was aiming. We'll say it was to help get him on that SportsCenter top 10 plays. Saving it under the basket, and especially usually say don't try to save a ball under your own basket, and in that case, in case MVU was able to get it. But, perfectly set up a fast break for DeMar on the other side. And also credit to Patrick Walker for being able to recover defensively and not just let DeMar have a wide open layup.
And Walker was called for the fouls, his second. After the foul, it was Coach Matthew Walker who took a full timeout, I think wisely, to slow the pace a little bit for the last couple of possessions that we may get here in this second quarter. I say that we may get. And the reason that I'm not so sure is because we have already seen at least one possession of this game take a full minute off the clock. And I wouldn't be surprised coming off of a timeout if the Bobwhites really milk this possession for all it's worth and work for one exceptional opportunity.
So here's the question sort of Matt Walker has to sort of decide defensively coming out. Does he try to want to push the pace to try to get himself another possession and really extend the defense out far beyond the three-point line, basically make it a true half-court defense to try to force BFA either to make a move or force them into a turnover, or is he content sort of just sitting back and sort of playing prevent just to not, let them run out the clock and not get a clean look?
Charlie Yates somehow able to squeak by 2 defenders, had a driving look, no good as MVU comes the other way. Power picks up his dribble, goes outside to Unwin. You could hear that BFA bench really building up in their energy as they knew that Power had picked up his dribble. Here's Johnson. Johnson amazingly getting that one inside to Luno. Luno still in the key as he has a desperation flick from Unwin, and a lot of players on the ground. Still no whistles. Unwin comes up with it, floats it to Walker. Walker, met by several defenders, goes to Unwin. Unwin will get 2 shots. Several opportunities for fouls there. And no, he's not going to get 2 shots.
No,
Okay, I'm sorry.
He will. Yep.
I saw 3 Missisquoi players heading up the other way.
MVU, drew the foul there, and that was the right call. But also BFA had a claim that Patrick Walker traveled on his drive, and I think they had a fair claim to that too. Just kind of a wild possession.
First free throw again. MVU missing the front end of all of their trips to the line thus far.
And that's actually number 3 on Noah Earl, which, we won't see him again until the second half. There's only 1:12 left of this half, but still he's going to have to play intelligent defense for the rest of this game and maybe not able to be as aggressive as he would like.
Lane violation on, I believe, Justin Brown. It was a BFA player nonetheless. So Unwin will have a second chance to hit this second free throw. And off the front iron it goes. So MVU right now just 3 of 8 from the free throw line.
And that's been trouble for them all year at the free throw line.
Inside of a minute to go. You can see the versatility. Justin Brown. But really, most everybody for this BFA team is adept at staying outside to work the offense, as Walker with another rebound, hit from behind, and the foul is going to be called on DeMar. To be fair, Walker got hit by DeMar and by Brown, and he's going to go to the line shooting 2. It was, in fact, called by Brown.
So on that last three-point attempt by Yates, I think it was Caleb Johnston guarding him, and you saw that BFA was trying to set screens to get Yates open there. And Johnson went under the screen, which gave Yates plenty of space to be able to get that three-pointer off. Yates is a good shooter, so I think MVU, especially on him, they're going to have to try to fight over that screen just to cut down on the amount of space that Yates gets to not give him an open look.
You could feel when Yates checked back in the second quarter how MVU's defense just all of a sudden had a new element that they really had to be aware of.
Yep.
Walker at the line for 2. Off the back iron of the first, MVU is now 3 of 9 at the charity stripe as Johnston heads to the bench. Sean Power checking in for him. And Walker gets his first point of the afternoon. And is immediately subbed out. Cole Buta coming in for him. The officials are having a word here, and it seems that Case Ballard may have a scratch. They have to inspect. If there's any blood, of course, he's not allowed to stay, but somebody thought they saw something. It turns out he's okay.
And they said, scratch that. He doesn't have to leave the game.
Yep.
Wesley, I'm so good at this.
Good. Can we cut that from the record? No? Did you get it? Case Ballard. How about that? George Gervin finger roll, putting BFA back up by 4.
Case Ballard leading all scorers now with 6 points.
Unwin way outside. It's difficult for them to get it to him with Ballard guarding as he is, and Unwin flicking it back outside, saving Missisquoi from another turnover. Fuenyer. A handoff to Unwin, 10 on the clock. Picks up the dribble, over to Power, 5 on the clock.
Gotta move.
Down low, Unwin can't get it, stolen away by Ballard, and that is how the first half will end. Desperation heave from Yates was after the final buzzer of the second quarter. So 17-13 is our halftime score. That second quarter, the intensity did not slip at all, but neither team really able to get into the groove, and we started to see some physicality stepped up, I guess, from both of these teams, as both are just jostling for an advantage and to try to establish themselves. As it is a testament to both teams, nobody's really able to set any kind of tone or create an identity of this game.
Yeah, I mean, even you look at sort of the leading scorers for both teams and even how scoring has been spread, the opportunities have been few and far between because of both teams' defense, but also this has been a physical and sort of scrappy game that tends to ugly it up. Some leading scorers for us here. Case Ballard leading all players with 6 points. Charlie Yates also chipping in 5 for BFA. MVU, Unwin and Johnson both have 4. Unwin also with 4 rebounds, worth noting. Noah Earl not yet in the scores column, but also with 4 rebounds. BFA out rebounding MVU 14-9 in terms of team rebounds. But on that last possession, Wes, I got to say, Case Ballard just did an excellent job guarding Gabe Unwin. Even in the first entry pass that they tried to get Unwin at the free throw line, Ballard was able to push him off of his spot as the ball was being passed to him. That Unwin had to sort of jump out and catch it at the three-point line, which is not where he wanted the ball at all. And then, Case Ballard fighting over screens, that were trying to get Unwin open, not giving him any open looks to get the ball down in the post. I mean, just really excellent job on MVU's go-to player, especially with Patrick Walker, only with 1 point so far today. Hasn't hit anything from the 3-point line. Unwin is going to be the guy that sort of has to get MVU going. But if Ballard's going to guard him like that, that is going to be a hard task for the Thunderbirds.
Well, and as a follow-up to a couple of points that you made there, certainly through those first 16 minutes, the player who stood out the most was Case Ballard. Yes, he's the leading scorer in the game, but also defensively, he was the shining star for the Bobwhites. But yes, looking at it from the other perspective, who's a player who stood out for what they didn't do? And I'm sure he's telling himself this just as much as we would be. Patrick Walker, only one first-half point. That's not
in the last couple minutes.
And it came on
at a free
the
throw.
last couple of minutes. That's not part of the formula for MVU to get a victory.
Yep, absolutely. And, Patrick Walker, he has such a sure hand handling the ball, up running the half-court offense. But BFA has not let him get comfortable at all. They've not let him get any open looks at the three-point line. He's had some opportunities driving in, and that's sort of something that I'd like to see him doing a little bit more in the second half, able to sort of penetrate into BFA's into the lanes of BFA's defense and try to shift the defense a little bit, and he might be able to get opportunities for himself. I mean, we talked about those floaters at the beginning of the game, or he'll make the defense collapse on him and open up some of his teammates outside around the three-point line. So far, he hasn't been able to play a clean game for him. BFA just doing a really good job, really cutting down on his opportunities.
At this point, we would like to thank our sponsors for allowing you at home to be able to view this game. Those sponsors are Northwestern Orthopedics, Collins Purley Sports Complex, JC Image, Handy Toyota, Barrett Ford, and Clarity Realty with Keller Williams, Vermont. If your business would like to become a sports sponsor, you can contact the staff at Northwest Access TV at 802-782-8676. Also, as repayment, I guess, for asking that the game get set back just a little bit, a special shout-out is in order to Brandy Paradis, who is cheering for both teams up in Franklin. And for all of you who are fans of Franklin County sports, there's really very little that can compare to BFA and MVU, whether it's soccer, whether it's basketball, whether it's softball or baseball. These are two teams that always step it up a little bit when they face off. And, again, the intensity level in both of those quarters, you knew that this is a special game, and
Yep.
These players are certainly well aware of it. What's impressive, or perhaps scary for me, thinking of some of those series where it started to get really rough, everybody diving on the court for loose balls, and sometimes no fouls called when perhaps they might have been deserved. This second half is going to be a little bit more intense, as it always is. And what are you watching out for? Who do you think is going to need to step up, or who is going to be an impact player in the remaining two quarters?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'd already mentioned him. Patrick Walker is really going to need to step it up here for MVU. They're going to have to try to make it a real focus to get him open around the three-point line, try to set some off-ball screens so that he can get some open looks, because, him trying to do it on his own, just BFA's been playing too good defense for him. Sean Power, too, he has 3 points. I think he'll probably have to step up as MVU's kind of third guy. Unwin's doing the best he can against Case Ballard. So, for MVU, I think they're really going to have to be intentional about getting guys looks. It won't necessarily just come in the natural flow of their offense. So they're going to be intentionally trying to set screens for Unwin down low, trying to set screens for Patrick Walker around the three-point line to get open looks. For BFA, I mean, Case Ballard is their leading scorer with 6 points. He also has 3 rebounds. Most of his opportunities have sort of come on second chance points. Noah Earl, though, it is worth noting that he is scoreless so far. So I think he's a guy for BFA that they're going to have to get going a little bit. Now, playing with 3 fouls, that's going to make things a little bit tougher for him. He does already have 4 rebounds, though, so he has been working hard down on the post. And then, of course, Charlie Yates is another guy. He has 5 points. If he can start to get that 3 ball to fall for him, this could be a totally different game for BFA if he gets hot. So I think for both teams, we sort of have the 3 guys that they're looking for both of them to get going to make the difference here in this game.
I would say another player whose name you did not mention there, Caleb Johnson for MVU.
Yep.
In that first quarter, that floater was falling for him. He hit 2 out of 3 driving shots. Didn't take anything like that in the second quarter.
Right.
And I think, as you say, they might need to do some things that are out of the natural flow of their offense. I think that same mentality needs to go to a player like Johnson, who isn't normally a go-to scorer, or at least the go-to scorer for MVU. And I think it could certainly make this game very different if he were to start this second half with a scoring mentality.
Absolutely. I mean, and if BFA is going to focus their defense on Unwin and on Walker, that could open things up for Caleb Johnston like we saw in that first quarter. And he got a couple just really good wide-open drives to the hoop because BFA's defense was sort of shifting away from him, and he was just one-on-one. So if, like you said, if he can be a little bit more aggressive there and kind of recognize more of those opportunities, I think, he can be sort of the surprise scorer for MVU today. And in these types of games, you always need someone who might not typically be a go-to scorer for the team, just really step up and make the difference.
So with about a minute and a half until we get the second half going, you can see that the Bobwhites have returned to the court and shooting around a little bit. MVU taking a little bit longer. For Coach Walker and his Thunderbirds, there's certainly an awareness that defense is the one part of the game that you can control, and that's a part of Walker's sort of teaching that is extended beyond just the varsity team and through the whole Thunderbird program. And we'll see if that defensive effort will be enough in the second half of this broadcast coverage, as we will have the JV game. It was unusual that the varsity started first, but if you are comfortable and you're at home and watching our coverage of BFA and MVU, you are in luck, because 2 undefeated JV teams are set to tip off about a half hour or so after this one concludes. We've, normally we show up about 45 minutes or an hour or so before a varsity game starts, and so we get to watch a decent amount of the JV team. And in their last time out, MVU JV had a 1-point victory over North Country, a very exciting game.
Thrilling finish, that one.
For BFA, I've seen their JV just one time, and it was probably the most dominant junior varsity performance I've ever seen. They scored almost 80 points in the game. They were firing on all cylinders, hitting outside shots, inside shots. They were poised. They were not turning the ball over. It was a clinic that they were running. And again, both teams undefeated, so it will be interesting and entertaining for those of you at home to watch that JV game as well. So you can see MVU right up against the clock as they come out of the tunnel for the start of the second half. I guess Walker and his associates taking every available second to impart that last kernel of wisdom through every player. The same starters are going to be out for the start of the third quarter, and we will see if the halftime lesson sunk in. The Thunderbirds trailing 13-17, and interesting, a kind of lengthy conversation between Patrick Walker and the official at the start of this one, and almost a turnover, kind of a careless handoff between Unwin and Walker to start the third quarter. Unwin going down low to Walker.
Yeah, they sort of switched spots a little bit.
Gets that Euro step and can't get the shot to fall, but a good offensive board for Butah. Walker from outside, and it's good. Well, that didn't take long. As we mentioned, only 1 point in the first half, and he gets a 3-pointer to fall, cutting it to just a 1-point game.
and sort of a nice wrinkle for MVU coming out of the halftime to sort of switch Unwin and Walker, sending Walker down to the post, Unwin outside. That really changed things for MVU's offense here, and BFA trying to adjust to it on their defense.
Ballard says two can play at that game, gets that Euro step as well, but cannot get the driving lay-in to fall.
I mean, they both missed it, so they're still even in terms of Euro steps.
On the MVU bench, it is worth noting that Matthew Curtis was jogging around a moment ago and is stretching, as an over-the-back foul is going to be called on Caleb Johnston.
Well, MVU...
I guess I should have amended I had said that the same starters from the beginning of the game. That, of course, not entirely accurate, because Matthew Curtis, for having received his senior recognition, did start, but was then taken out at the first dead ball. He came in a few minutes later and had a steal, but otherwise we haven't seen much of him. Here's a big three-pointer for Connor Leach to put the Bobwhites back up by 4.
His first points of the game matching Patrick Walker's three-pointer on the other end.
Power over to Unwin. Unwin thought about going inside, and good defense. Diving forward, Yates putting it all out there, gets a steal for the Bobwhites. Yates driving in, and some miscommunication as he almost collided with his own teammate Connor Leach, but still Yates able to get the finish. And the biggest lead for either team now is Yates gets his 7th point, and his team is up by 6.
Well, that's what they're going to need from Yates, to be a bit more aggressive than he was in the first half. Pays off for him right there. I mean, a strong drive right down the middle.
Walker turns around and going for some good touch off the rim, but it misses just left. With full speed, Peter Jolly leading the charge the other way. He goes over to Leach, who might have a hot hand. I'm sure he's eager to test it out. Cross-court pass and a three-pointer launch. Three-pointer rolls around and drops in for Peter Jolly.
This is what happened to MVU against North Country. They kept it a close game, and then North Country hit a few threes, and MVU just wasn't able to recover. So let's see if MVU can kind of calm down here.
Buta, a little too much chili on that one.
Yeah, good timeout by Matt Walker.
Through the hands of Gabe Unwin, and you can just see the enthusiasm from the Bobwhite bench. It was Dakota Rye, number 42, who really led the charge out of the bench to greet his teammates into the timeout. It's a full timeout from Coach Matt Walker. You could see right away for MVU one very notable change to their offense, as Unwin and Walker, you noted, basically switching roles here at the start of the third quarter.
Well, it paid off for them on that first possession. Patrick Walker getting that three, and that sort of had us thinking, maybe MVU here has sort of figured out something that would let them get the edge. But BFA coming back with a couple big threes, and Charlie Yates being aggressive here. But I'd mentioned that MVU, their defense has a penchant to sort of overcommit on the help side and leaving that weak side just so wide open for three-point shooters. And if BFA figures that out and sort of recognizes that more, they're going to have a lot of open three opportunities. And they've been able to take advantage of that so far in this third quarter to open them up to a 9-point lead.
BFA had 17 points in the first half. They've scored half as many in the first 2 minutes, 30 seconds of this third quarter. And the Bobwhites back on offense. Thomas DeMar being guarded by Buta. A quick handoff to Yates. Good screen from Ballard. He floats and cannot get it to go, but offensive board by DeMar. In the scrum, he was fouled. Looks like it's going to be on Patrick Walker.
You could see all the screens that BFA was setting to get Yates open. They intentionally wanted him to take it on that one. Ballard with a huge screen on Walker that Walker couldn't fight over to stick with Yates.
And it's interesting. You can tell the intelligence of Walker. He knows the situation. He knew that that's his third foul, and as the official was walking towards the bench, he was pointing to Buta. He wanted the foul to be called on his teammate rather than himself. MVU in his zone now. And BFA wanting to see if they can get another outside shot to go. Around the horn. Good off-ball screens for the Bobwhites as they are showing some great offensive movement.
Yep.
Yates in the corner.
And especially
almost moved before the dribble.
Especially they're getting lots of guys to cut behind the zone. So just keep swinging the ball around. Eventually that's going to be open for him.
Yates, sort of a line drive of a three-pointer. Unwin able to fight for the rebound, but 3 players around him, and one of them fouled him.
And that is Unwin's 6th rebound of the game.
The foul is against Case Ballard. Only 1 on him in this contest. Well, it's interesting as the Unwin-Ballard matchup has been an exciting one to watch and is on display again right now. Neither of them have been too sloppy when it comes to fouls. Here's Unwin from outside, off the front iron. Unwin has hit a three-pointer in this game. So too has Yates, who's going to drive in, met by Luno.
Yeah.
And Yates, a smart play there to draw the contact, and he's going to go to the line shooting 2.
Man, Yates just taking over this game for BFA. He hasn't been the one scoring every time, but his tenacity to drive to the rim has really opened things up for the Bobwhites.
First free throw, again, kind of, like I said a moment ago in his three-point effort, kind of a line drive, a little bit flat on the release. As Seth Richards, the sophomore, checks into the game. Yates' second free throw. Off the back iron, and Richards with a good reach, able to get it. However, he turns it over as the passing lane was jumped from Caleb Johnston. Power inside to Unwin, outside to Power, has a little bit of space, up and in. Sean Power with the 3rd long ball for MVU. Coming right back with a foul. His first, but already 4 team fouls for the Thunderbirds in 4 minutes of the second half.
We said Sean Power probably going to have to be that 3rd scorer for MVU. Good sign that he hits one from the outside. See if he can get a few more looks and get him to fall consistently today.
Yates gets Walker in the air. Seth Richards, another offensive rebound. Can't get the putback to go, but he's going to go to the line. I think Luno is whistled for the foul again, but we'll wait for the officials. Yes, Hayes and Luno, the forward, the perhaps, let's say, the 6th man for this Thunderbird. And without Curtis on the bench being able to come in, Luno is a very important player for the Thunderbirds. That's now 2 fouls in quick succession for him.
Well, and Richards is the tallest guy on the floor, probably by far. And the Thunderbirds have not been super great boxing out today. So they probably need to make that a focus in their next practice, especially if you have a guy like Seth Richards down there just kind of gobbling up those offensive rebounds.
Well, and in that last possession, Unwin had gone help to try to get a block, and it left Richards wide open. Unwin outside. Here's Johnson for 3.
Oh, and Johnson
he has
now
7 points.
Brings them back within 3. It's still a good recovery for MVU here, just knowing how BFA started this quarter.
Well, MVU had 2 3-pointers in the first half, and they have 2 in the last minute of this game. Walker with the rebound. He's going to bring it down to the other end.
Richards did not even jump on that shot attempt. That was amazing. He just stepped right into it, and it was so natural.
Inside to Luno. Luno moves it around and gets a shot up, but a foul in the act of shooting is the call. So Luno is going to go to the line.
A little continuation here in high school ball.
That's twice in this game that we've seen it. It has surprised me significantly in both events.
You don't normally see that.
And it has benefited the Thunderbirds, is worth noting as well. The chance to cut it to a 1-point game. First free throw, rims around and falls through. Luno now has 2 points. Luke Fuenier has checked in. And for the Bobwhites, Dakota Rye, big energy guy, number 42. You see him already jumping over to box out Luno. He's checked in. Number Number 30, who you saw in the near corner, is Connor Leach. Got to watch out for him outside because he's a good three-point shooter. Richards has some space. A good move from the sophomore. Just one dribble, one move, and 2 points.
I mean, just such a nice post move from Richards. Just a nice soft touch off the backboard. I mean, if he gets those post moves going consistently, with his height, he's going to be so hard to stop in high school basketball.
Unwin seeing how well Richards can guard from behind the line. Over to Johnston. Johnston guarded by Leach. Driving in left, kicks back to Unwin. Unwin's going to think about it. Goes down, a lot of contact as he goes down to the deck. Well, the official's going to make a call. It will be a foul on the Bobwhites. Walker shouting to his players, get over here. He saw something that he wanted them to know. So the foul was called on Connor Leach, which is his third. A couple of key substitutions occurring here as well. As Unwin's free throw will fall. Both teams going for some height, as we will see Matthew Curtis check back into the game. And BFA bringing in Justin Brown. Brown is a matchup enigma for MVU, and most teams, in fact. As Unwin swishes the second one through, and it's a 27-25 ball game.
And Unwin now with 6 points, 6 rebounds today.
Good sign, too, perhaps for the Thunderbird. That's the first time that they have hit both free throws on a trip to the line.
So Noah Earl in the game here for BFA with 3 personal fouls.
Richards going to try it again, and he's going to get it again. 6 points for the sophomore in the rivalry game.
Yeah, that's the thing. So Unwin guarding him. Unwin is super athletic, but just the height difference makes it so tough. That's a matchup for BFA to keep going back to. For MVU, Noah Earl is in the game with 3 personal fouls. They really ought to be getting the ball over to Johnston and going right at Earl.
Good defense from Rye to get the steal. The other way. Earl thought about it, slows it down. From the free throw line, he goes to Yates. Yates can't get the shot to go in the air, and Unwin will get another rebound. Just over a minute to play in this third quarter. The energy and excitement is picking up, and in the scrum down low, Brown is going to be called for the foul as he was fighting for position with Curtis.
Yeah, I'm not surprised Brown got called for that foul. Did see Curtis kind of throwing a few elbows down there, trying to make some space. So, I'm sure that's a matchup the refs are going to have to watch. Those calls can go either way.
And before the inbounds, another off-ball foul. This one on Dakota Rye. The Bobwhites had 3 team fouls through more than 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes of this third quarter, and they've had 2 without any time going off the clock. Walker from the corner, and that time an illegal
Luke
screen.
Fournier. Well, Fournier and I think it was Dakota Rye, they were fighting for position down there. Rye sort of had his hands up, and Fournier throwing his elbows, trying to make some space, but you could see that aggression between them just kind of growing and the physicality growing. Not surprised Fournier got called with that one.
Well, that was the same matchup that brought about, as Unwin gets a big block on Yates, that was the same matchup that had brought about an off-ball foul a moment earlier, as Power's going to try a three-pointer off the front iron and a rebound to Richards. Outlet pass. It was short, but Earl was there. Earl to Yates, and Yates will get it and the foul. Unwin will be whistled for the foul, and Yates, who has been the impact player of this quarter, puts BFA up by 6.
Yates with an opportunity here to be the first player in this game to get into double figures.
Make a correction, the foul was not called on Unwin. It was credited to Sean Power, which will be his second.
But, I mean, Yates has been the impact player so far, but Seth Richards for BFA, he's now up to 6 points and 5 rebounds, the majority of it in this third period.
Curtis with a rebound, by the way, on the missed free throw, as Yates not able to complete the three-point play. Inside to Curtis they go. Really active. He's got to watch out for those elbows as he fights for position. He flips that one up and will get it to fall. BFA, all of the Bobwhites players asking for a travel.
I mean, it probably could have been.
They perhaps should have got it. They are still up by 4.
But to be able to kind of get under his defender's arm, just to be able to flick that up, you could actually... You could see the two JV refs kind of waiting for their game to start. They were both signaling for a travel, too.
The thing that was most impressive for me was that Coach Matthew Walker and Coach Matt Toof made eye contact. Walker, even through the mask, you could tell he was smiling, and he made the traveling sign.
But Matthew Curtis will take anything he can get here in limited minutes.
Yeah, a rebound, a steal, 2 points. First free throw, up, out, and a rebound for Richards, who loses it. But still, Richards is just a sophomore, and MVU has to be frightened of what the next 2 years could be in this matchup with him playing for the Bobwhites.
And MVU doesn't have a ton of height coming up in their juniors and sophomores, so that's going to be a tough one for them the next few years, like you said.
Well, both teams with 14 points in that third quarter, and so it is still a 4-point ball game as we head to the fourth. You know, in the third, we talked about neither team really able to get into any flow and make an identity of sorts for this game. It's still difficult to say what sort of tone either team has been able to instill, but we definitely got a better flow in that third quarter, a very exciting back and forth 8 minutes of basketball.
Well, and you know, I'm sure MVU is thankful because it looked like after those first couple minutes that BFA went on that run, and it looked like they were just about to run away with this thing. They got out by 9. They hit a couple three-pointers. So a good timeout called by Matt Walker to sort of break BFA's momentum, and props to MVU for climbing back into this one, getting, I think, within 2. But, you know, BFA, they've had a couple guys really stand out in the third quarter. Charlie Yates now with 9 points. But Seth Richards, I mean, we just talked about him, the sophomore, with 6 points and 6 rebounds. Just about all of those stats have come in this second quarter.
And a lot of these names and these numbers are going to be of particular note at the end of the game when we name our Showtime Player of the Game, sponsored by JC Image. A couple of early candidates. And the fourth quarter begins. The Bobwhites with possession at the start as Justin Brown driving in, tries to reverse lane and pinned against the bottom of the backboard by Gabe Unwin. What a block. Outlet pass from Walker the other way as Power cannot get the floater to fall. Rebound for the Bobwhites, and here they come again. It's Justin Brown who goes behind the back and met this time by Curtis. And Curtis forces him to the turnover.
And that was Gabe Unwin's third block of the game. So, you know, he has been able to get it done on the defensive end, also with 7 rebounds and 6 points. So kind of an all-around stat line.
And here's Unwin again, guarded by the sophomore, Richards. Walker double-teamed as he goes in, almost daring Justin Brown to come and help, as he would have dumped it off to Curtis. And Walker able to tip the pass and force a Bobwhite turnover. Power inside to Curtis. Curtis with a dribble and a move and 2 points. Perhaps a little hobble as he turns around, but I don't think he's going to elect to take himself out of this game if he has the choice. Richards at the top of the key. Pivots around. Why not? Pulls up. And an offensive rebound for Rye, but knocked out of his hands. Amazing that there was no call on that collision. But the Thunderbirds will take it. Officially a team steal as Unwin goes up top to Power. Back to Unwin on the left side. Inside to Walker. Walker picks up the dribble quickly. Curtis, heat check. No good. Bobwhites go inside as the entry to Richards was lost. He saved it and found Brown. That was a luck play, and the Bobwhites will take it. They're back up by 4.
And that is such a frustrating play if you're Coach Matt Walker. I mean, all Unwin really had to do was hold out his hand, and he would have had that ball. And just Walker yelling for his team to go after those loose balls.
And it was interesting for Richards, the sophomore. It was a play that should not have worked in his favor.
No, it really shouldn't
The
have.
entry pass was tipped away by Unwin. It would have been BFA inbounding it, but he chased it down, blindly tipped it back. Brown was cutting, and as a result, Brown got his first bucket of the game.
Well, I mean, we've seen that a couple times. In the first half, we had DeTilio trying to save the ball from underneath the basket and throwing it all the way to the other end to start a fast break for Thomas DeMar. So a couple of those kind of lucky plays going BFA's way here. But again, I mean, Matt Walker is very frustrated after that one.
You know, that play that you referenced, DeMar's fast break, DeMar missed it. The offensive rebound was grabbed by Noah Earl. Because of foul trouble, we have not seen much of Noah Earl. It'll be interesting as we've got 5:55 in the clock in the fourth, if we will see much of the youngster.
Tell you, Noah Earl's a sophomore. Seth Richards is a sophomore. BFA is in great shape the next couple of years.
And again, those of you who are excited to watch the JV game, you're going to see what the future of the MVU versus BFA varsity matchups will be like. Case Ballard, who has been very quiet in the second half, has returned to the contest. I think they haven't really needed him to be that loud. Seth Richards has been an amazingly adept substitute. Brown wanting to go right, met by Curtis. He spins around and finishes left and gets it to fall.
That was just a really nice patient play by Justin Brown. I mean, tried to turn to, I guess that would be his right, and Matthew Curtis read that, but then to immediately go to his left and just had Curtis totally out of position to get a good lay-in.
Matthew Curtis on his tiptoes as Brown is patiently guarding him. Decides to drive in, pulls up, and a little contact there as Brown is going to be whistled for the foul. And Curtis is going to go to the line shooting two.
Yeah, if they can get Curtis going even in his limited minutes, that could be huge for the Thunderbirds here, facing a 6-point deficit.
It's now 3 fouls on Justin Brown, who has had back-to-back field goals for the Bobwhites. Off the front iron. Curtis hasn't had a lot of in-game trips to the line. Chances to test his mettle in tight moments like this. Second one, same result. Here come the Bobwhites the other way. Peter Jolly being guarded by Fuenier. The pass to Ballard is stolen away by Unwin. Here's Walker, outlet to Unwin. No numbers, but his is tipped over to Curtis, who's going to pull up. And just like the free throw, it goes off the front iron as he tries to follow his shot, collides with Brown, and Brown's going to go to the line shooting 1-1. Good awareness for Justin Brown. The official wanted him to go to the sideline. Brown did the 2 fingers. He knows the situation of this game. After a good couple of minutes, Curtis is going to return to the MVU bench. Hazen Luno has checked in. He's got the low post matchup with Ballard as they jostle for position, and Luno is able to come up with it. Luke Fuenier with the ball for the Thunderbirds. Guarded by Jolly. Might have dragged his pivot foot, but no whistle. As Buta, a handoff to Walker. Fuenier. Unwin inside to Luno. Luno.
Oh, turn the other way.
Could have gone to his left
Just
side.
gone the other way.
And good defense from Yates to get another steal. Outlet to Earl. Good hands to grab it. And great hands to get it to fall. And
oh, boy.
back official was able to see the foul. Earl, immediately after hitting it, looked at the official in front of him. He knew that he was contacted. The near official didn't, but the back judge saw it. And so Earl has a chance to make it a 9-point game.
So it's the right call. It's the right call. probably needed to make it a few seconds earlier.
Well, because it was well made by the official who made it. That's not the call he should have to make.
Right. But still, regardless, it was the right call. He was fouled.
And in the silent gym without any fans, we have to not say that too loudly. But I would say it's accurate. As Earl cannot get the free throw to go, here's Johnston. An 8-point game with 4 minutes to play. Yates not letting up defensively as Walker tries a floater, no good, and in the long rebound it goes to Unwin, and the Thunderbirds will reset. Walker to Unwin, top of the key, got Ballard off his feet, and on the pass back outside to Johnson, Unwin was fouled, and this should be 1-1. Unwin was the first Thunderbirds player to convert both free throws a couple of minutes ago. We'll see if he's able to do it again. Still for the Thunderbirds, good that they could stop the clock. It's not their ally anymore, trailing by 8 points. Good free throw for the senior Unwin, who now has 7 points.
And 8 rebounds and 3 blocks.
And off to the right side. Good rebound for Peter Jolly. Jolly being guarded by Johnston. And some contact off the ball as Yates went to the ground, and Earl is going to travel.
Well, he was expecting Yates to be cutting down the opposite side, but Yates had just been knocked down off the ball, and he was asking for a foul. But no, Earl tried to anticipate it, and that time sort of backfired.
Luno being guarded by Earl, who's not going to be too aggressive. Didn't need to be, as the shot off to the right. And here's Jolly to Earl. Earl being guarded by Power. Yates swinging it around. They're looking for Ballard inside. They get it to him. Walker wants to help out. They go outside, a three-pointer, up and no good. And good effort to try to follow the shot for Connor Leach. But the Thunderbirds were able to grab it. Here's Walker for three. No good. Luno with the rebound. Almost lost it, but they are able to keep it, and Unwin kicks it out to Power for three. And that one is no good either, as Yates gets a rebound and will get fouled. He's going to go shoot two. Couple of good looks for the Thunderbirds. But at this point, you sort of wonder if it's a fatigue issue. We've seen several shots at the front iron. But again, Yates having a rough afternoon at the line. Muscles in the second one off the glass, and BFA is on top, 38-30.
And Yates now the only player in this game in double digits with 10 points.
Power inside to Walker, being guarded by Yates. Tries to back him down, not getting much. Works his way around and able to finish with the left hand. Walker has 6 points.
A ton
Yates,
of patience
the other
down
side.
there.
And a charge taken by Luno, who was well set well before Yates started driving in.
And he took Yates' arm full on in the jaw. Not like an intentional elbow or anything from Yates, just sort of how they collided.
That was a rough collision. I, for one, would have just done the on-ball foul and not sacrifice the body against Charlie Yates.
I probably would have needed a second jaw surgery if I took that one.
Walker moving his pivot foot. There was an official right behind him as Walker looked to that near official. Obviously, you're not going to get that call overturned, but with BFA's lead now standing at 6, Matt Toof is going to take a timeout. Just a 30-second timeout. Bryce, I think, as we just saw the third foul called on Charlie Yates on that charge. Let's get a quick foul look. We don't have anybody with 4 yet, but we've got several players who are at 3.
Yep, so for BFA, players with 3 fouls, Noah Earl, Charlie Yates, Connor Leach, and Justin Brown. For MVU, we have Sean Power and Patrick Walker, each with 3 fouls. So like you said, nobody with 4 fouls, no one who's in immediate danger of fouling out, but few players that do sort of need to keep the fouling situation in mind with 2:18 left.
We'd also, again, like to give a special shout-out to Brandy Paradis up in Franklin, cheering for both teams. The way both teams are playing, I understand anybody who's a loyalist, but this season, it's enough just to see basketball in Franklin County, and I'm cheering for both teams today, too. Unusual to have a Sunday afternoon game like this, but we're here for it. Here's Case Ballard, the free throw line, works his way around, drags his foot. The official saw it.
And, especially for us, we cover both teams regularly. We've gotten to know both teams very well and their tendencies. So, I hate to pull like the parent card, but I just want them to have fun. The real winners are the friends we made along the way.
To stay safe. If this game could end in a tie, let's not have that. Unwin inside as he goes out to Luno, who loses it. No, gets it back. He's fighting for it. Rebound called by Walker.
Oh, he just took a shin in the head, too.
That's 2 collisions in the span of a couple of minutes for Luno, as it is officially a half timeout.
He's going for the body part bingo. He took the arm to the face, and now got the shin to the head. And
you don't get shins to the head very often.
You don't really.
So 38-32. Again, it's indicative of 2 teams who are playing pretty good defense, that despite the intensity of this matchup, we've got 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter and nobody's at 40 points yet.
Right. Which is not necessarily typical of these teams. A testament to their defense and sort of how scrappy this game has been.
Unwin, they've got Seth Richards back in the game in crunch time. How about that?
Well, he played super well in the third quarter. Been doing a pretty good job on Gabe Unwin defensively.
See how he does here. Unwin back outside to Walker. Walker tried to feed it through to Power, and Yates is able to sky it down as Walker's going to pick up his, I believe, 4th personal foul.
And here, MVU just kind of, with just over a minute left, down 6, kind of running their offense a little bit too slowly here. They need to be picking up the pace and getting shots up a lot faster.
Well, and trying to do handoffs through 2 defenders inside. That's not what you need right now. As Yates, who has had a rough afternoon at the line, goes back iron in the first effort. Remember the free throw he converted on his last trip. He ended up just banking it off the box. We'll perhaps see him try again. No, perfect touch on that one. Yates has 11. A 7-point lead for the Bobwhites. Johnson being guarded by Leach. Walker doesn't have space for a 3-pointer. Looking for somebody who does. Power, good shot fake as he goes over, and he's going to get 2 shots.
Bit surprising that was called in the act of shooting.
Especially if it's 2 shots. Okay, so they're changing it to 1 and 1.
Yeah,
after
on
the
floor.
shot
Yep.
fake,
There we go.
the defender reached back, and that's where the foul occurred. And the foul was called on Peter Jolly, his 3rd. Power, a pretty good shooter. And good touch on the first free throw. He's got 7. had 10 points in the tough loss against North Country. MVU's leading scorer in that game.
And now 3 MVU players with 7 points, Power, Unwin, and Johnston.
And good touch on that one as well. He is the Thunderbirds' leading scorer with 8 as it's a 5-point game. And a minute on the clock and a turnover as Buta gets it, handing over to Walker. Walker to Power. Power, three-pointer, no good, and the rebound to Yates, who is going to pull it back outside, and Walker is going to foul out of the game to stop the clock. And you see the assertiveness as we had seen earlier. He's pointing to Buta. He wants the foul to be called on Buta. And we're getting some jawing between Walker and Connor Leach. They do, in fact, call it on Buta. Good break for the Thunderbirds to keep Walker on the court.
Really big break for them.
And Yates got his money's worth on that one. But not on the second as Earl gets an offensive rebound, losing it, and a loose ball, jump ball, possession to the Thunderbirds. Toof is calling for the timeout. Walker, meanwhile, saying that they didn't have possession to take a timeout. The officials will convene. It seemed to me that the official down at the baseline had signaled jump ball before the official by the benches had called the timeout. We have, I would say, a unique vantage point to be able to have seen that sequence of events. Toof is being told it now, and it will be MVU ball with 45.8 seconds. They're still trailing by 6 as Buta comes out. Curtis comes in for the Thunderbirds.
So to Coach Toof's argument, from our vantage point, it looks like Noah Earl did have possession when he was trying to call timeout, but again, the jump ball was called before they recognized the timeout.
Johnson to Walker. Walker, a three is blocked by Yates. A spike block for Yates as the Bobwhites, with a 6-point lead, have no desire to score yet. Yates almost turning the ball over. He is fouled by Curtis. If you're Coach Matt Toof, obviously you're ahead by 2 possessions, and MVU hasn't been hitting many long balls. But as much as you value him, you sort of wonder, while MVU is going to foul you, you might want to start passing to somebody else.
Yep. Also, worth noting, in this abbreviated season, this is the only meeting that these teams get between each other. So this year it is just sort of winner take all.
Yates cannot get the second or the first to fall as Power gets a rebound. Fought for it, comes the other way. Unwin. Inside to Curtis. Curtis, good touch, and it's a 4-point game. Well, we talked about how different this abbreviated season would be if Curtis had been fully healthy for the Thunderbirds. As it is, he has not even played 10 minutes in this contest. He's got 6 points, a couple of rebounds, and a steal. And he has cut the lead to just 4 points now. You have to assume that MVU is going to foul, and I'll revert to the point that I was making with Yates at the line a moment ago. If you're Matt Toof, I would think that you find somebody else to get the ball because Yates has not been
struggling for sure.
Line.
Yeah, I mean, for MVU's situation, I think the scene from Monty Python keeps coming up. The I'm not dead yet. Just kind of sticking around here, down 4. But like you said, I mean, Coach Toof definitely has to think about what lineup he's going to send out coming out of this timeout, knowing MVU is going to foul. Although neither team has been especially great at the line today, that I'm not entirely sure who your point person is going to be to try to get inbound the ball into to draw that foul. But of course, MVU here, I mean, 17 seconds left, down 4. Probably going to try to get a steal on the inbound, maybe in the backcourt. But as soon as that ball crosses half court, like they gotta foul as soon as they possibly can.
Noah Earl to Yates, and they do not foul Yates right away. Try to trap him in the corner. He's going to take a timeout, I believe, or is he fouled? I think it was a timeout.
I believe so.
So it took just a few seconds off the clock.
So MVU did everything right there, except for not getting a turnover, but still made BFA burn a timeout.
And a full timeout for Coach Toof. Again, for BFA, a win would put them back to 500 on the season. With the loss to Colchester, they fell to 2-3. MVU, if results hold, would fall to 3-3.
So we had mentioned before JC Image sponsoring our player of the game this year, and we certainly have a few nominees for both teams. But Wesley, who do you think is the front runner at the moment?
Well, I don't want to target the fact that he's been having free throw woes, but Charlie Yates has been the impact player of the second half.
12 points, 4 rebounds, and a block.
And the go-to player. You see they go to him again, and it shows the faith and confidence that they have in him, that despite that difficult day at the line, there was nobody else that they were looking to. It was Charlie Yates all the way. And so he'll go back to the line to shoot 2 as Power was whistled for his 4th foul. Yates, too strong on the first, as Buta, who was in there for defense, is checked out, and Fuenier, the shooting edge, the junior, he's checked back in for the home team. Yates missing the second. Unwin skies for a board. Charging the other way. He's going to pull up. The three-pointer, no good, and somehow saved as Yates puts it up ahead to Peter Jolly. The clock expires, and the Bobwhites escape Swanton with a win. 40-36, the final score. Disappointing for the home team, but an exciting game for you at home, and a good, as always, rivalry matchup between these two teams, who, as you can see in this altered season, just give the wave to one another and say good game, and that will be the limit of their interaction for the rest of the day. No more high-five lines this season. They left it all on the court, their one meeting of the year, and a tough game. Neither team willing to give an inch, but the Bobwhites win it by 4.
Yeah, testament to both teams' defense, but also just sort of how intense and scrappy this game is. Low scoring, and only one player in the entire game with double digits, Charlie Yates, who I think is going to be our player of the game. We'll give you some high scores here and some stats for BFA. Charlie Yates, obviously 12 points, 4 rebounds, and a block. Case Ballard with 6 points, 3 rebounds. Seth Richards with a great third quarter, 6 points and 6 rebounds. For MVU, Power was their leading scorer with 8. Gabe Unwin with a fantastic line here, 7 points, 10 rebounds, a steal and 3 blocks. And then Caleb Johnston chipping in 7 with Matthew Curtis and Patrick Walker each with 6 points.
Again, unusual that we have the varsity starting off and then the JV, but for you at home, stay tuned for 2 undefeated JV teams. And while you watch those teams warm up, we would once again like to recognize our sponsors who made this game, and in fact have made all of these special and, may I say, free broadcasts of local sports your way this season. They are Northwestern Orthopedics, Collins Pearly Sports Complex, JC Image, Handy Toyota, Barrett Ford, and Clarity Realty with Keller Williams, Vermont. If your business would like to become a sports sponsor and contribute to this incredible local service of high-quality broadcasts of Franklin County athletics, to support the Franklin County athletes as well, get them some exposure, you can contact staff at Northwest Access. The number is 802-782-8676.
Also worth noting, Northwest Access TV is a nonprofit, and so we do have a donation link as part of this feed. If you feel so inclined to donate, any amount is very helpful. Please do. We appreciate the support, but we also just appreciate that folks want to watch these games that we love providing to everybody.
So we'll set the headsets down. Again, the final score, BFA 40, MVU 36. The Bobwhites moving to 3-3, and so too do the Thunderbirds. Our Showtime player of the game, Charlie Yates of the Bobwhites, and we'll track him down and get him his bright orange, let's patent the color, Northwest Access orange shirt.
There you go.
Sponsored by JC Image. So stay tuned. An exciting JV game is up next.